Here's your daily Tottenham news and transfer window update with me, Harry Scarfe, football content creator, YouTuber and football writer. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for coming in here. So if you're unfamiliar with how it works, read you an article to re-dissect and dive deeper into them. But if you're new, like and subscribe, let's get straight into it. So the first article I want to read is from The Guardian UK, and the headline is Frank leaves Bissouma out of Spurs' Super Cup squad due to persistent lateness. It starts by saying Thomas Frank has flexed his muscles, the Tottenham squad, by excluding the Youth Bissouma from the travelling party to face Paris Saint-Germain, owing to persistent lateness. Spurs make their UEFA Super Cup debut in Udine on Wednesday in a friendlish early test for their new manager, who's overseen his first pre-season since moving from Brentford in June. Frank has wasted no time pressing home his standards and explained he opted against selling Bissouma, more the interventional midfielder, because of multiple lapses. Bissouma has not travelled with the team because of disciplinary reasons, Frank said in their arrival in North East Italy. He said he's been late several times and the last time was one too many. With everything, you need to give your players a lot of love, but also demands, and there has to be consequences. This time there was a consequence for that. Frank suggested the punishment applied only to this fixture and that would follow up when I come home. The infraction will heighten doubts over Bissouma's future. He's entered his final year of his contract with little hope of signing a new deal after 3 years at Spurs, which has been decidedly mixed. The club has suspended him from a trip to Leicester last August after he recorded an inhaling nitrous oxide, and their former manager Ange Postecoglou said sometimes lets the game drift by him after the defeat following in March. Although the Super Cup sits below UEFA's three other major club competitions in terms of prestige, Frank played up the importance of following the Europa League win by toppling the Champions League holders, saying it's a massive game. He said a greater challenge and an even bigger opportunity. That's how my brain works. I see opportunities instead of pressure. So for me, massive opportunity. We'll definitely embrace it and we'll do everything. Spurs' squad for the coming Premier League season remains incomplete, and they're trying to sign Eberechi from Crystal Palace under the noses of their rivals Arsenal. Frank did not take this bait when asked about any deal for the forward. There are a lot of good players out there. There are a few from their PSG team, but I don't think we can buy them right now, he said. In general, players in and players out, I'm only speaking if something is done or not done. So that article is purely on Bissouma, and I think it's really bad from Bissouma. Whether he wants to leave or not, whether he thinks he's going to leave, or he's close to completely move away, whatever it may be, there's no excuse to consistently turn up late for a new manager. And Frank doesn't strike me as a strict guy, so he must have really pushed the boundaries. It's really poor from Bissouma. I don't know what he's thinking is behind that. Is he annoyed that Adrian was sacked? Does he want the move? Is he just unintentionally, consistently late? He's let his mind drift elsewhere in the summer. Either way, it's really disappointing, and we don't need that at times with injury going into a new season. It's really poor. You have a new manager coming like a new boss at work. You're keen to impress. You're not late consistently every time, really pushing yourself in the wrong way. So that's awful from Bissouma. I'm really disappointed in him. I think we should sell him. I was unsure because he's really good in the Europa League campaign overall, so I think we should sell him, but this is just the cherry on top, if you like. And the second and final article I want to read you is from the Spurs web, which says how much Tottenham Hotspur are prepared to pay for Eberechi Eze. It goes on to say a new report will shed light on how much Tottenham Hotspur are willing to spend on Eberechi Eze and whether the North London club are prepared to activate the midfielder's release clause, which expires in a few days. Spurs fans are understandably very excited about the prospect of Eze's arrival, but the Lily Whites still have work to do to get the deal over the line. A few hours ago, journalist Alex Crook of TalkSport revealed that Eze's £68 million release clause is active until Friday only, and now a new update has shed light on what Spurs are willing to do to clinch a deal for the 27-year-old. Tottenham's stance on Eberechi Eze's transfer and release clause. Give Me Sport have now also confirmed that the England international £68 million release clause will expire on the eve of the new Premier League season. The outlet claims that Tottenham reached out to Enquiries to understand their release clause in case they decide to trigger or match it. The report adds that the North London club are prepared to do a deal worth around £60 million for Eze, who has 2 years left of his contract at Selhurst Park. It's explained that it is Thomas Frank who is driving Spurs' pursuit of the Eagle Star, with the Dane said to be a big admirer of the versatile attacker. Spurs are trying to beat Arsenal to Eze's signature. Gimme Sport made it clear that the Gunners are still very much active in the pursuit of the Crystal Palace star. The publication says that while Eze has signalled a willingness to move to the Emirates, he's also keen on the Spurs project. This was backed up earlier today by Team Talk, who added that Spurs are pushing forward with talks to sign Eze, where Arsenal hierarchy is hesitating to some state their interest. That is your second article, which is, again, it's short but it's really fascinating, and it's relevant as well, isn't it, with Eberechi as how much Tottenham are prepared to pay rather. I'll just be safe and pay his release clause, or pay a little bit more than release clause. I think we like that, didn't we? Crikey, after the Gibbs White saga. So we come with a bid of £70 million. I think that would be totally sensible. We want to beat Arsenal to him, as they would be a big signing, and the season, like, although some say it officially starts on Wednesday, and they wouldn't be wrong, against PSG in the Super Cup final. I see it starting on Saturday properly anyway in the Premier League. So we need to get these signings done. Savinha, as a don't want them dragging through, because at this rate, Burnley, if they could come with a low block, which is not a Scott Parker's like team, but he's learnt a lot of lessons since his last in the Premier League, then we're in trouble. They sit back because we don't have the creativity at the moment, apart from Kudus, really to break down the team. A lot of it isn't the club's fault. You know, Kulusevski's being out for longer, it looks like Maddison coming injured, but you've got to plan better, and that's the problem. But all of a sudden, it's a good time to be a Spurs fan. You know, Super Cup final on Wednesday, two players who could sign, Savinha and Eze. It's not one or the other, it looks like both, which is so exciting. So those are the two articles. Let me know your thoughts on anything discussed in this video and what you heard in the articles, anything you agree or disagree with me as well. But thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe to Chris Carlin's channel. I want to thank him for this opportunity. Please follow me if you're interested at Scarfe22 across all socials, because I'm a football content creator, YouTuber and football writer. Also have my YouTube channel, Harry Scarfe, which contains my own Tottenham podcast within, called the Scarfe Spurs podcast, available also on multi-platform. You can check that out. It'd mean a lot. But thank you very much, guys, for watching. Proud regular here at Chris Carlin's channel. Massive though, come on you Spurs.